Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I am digging into the Lisa Eldridge Muse eyeshadow palette today. When I first got Lisa's holiday collection in the mail, I knew there was no way I was going to be able to do 5 separate eye looks with each one of these palettes. So in that previous video, which I will link for you here as well as the description bar down below, I promised to come back and to do one with each palette individually. So today I am reaching into Muse. This is a beautiful kind of warm pinkish leaning palette. I am so looking forward to this. And the one thing that I did today that I didn't do last time is I primed my eyes. I have some of the Milani eyeshadow primer on. I don't think I have any creases, which is good because I'm gonna jump right in. I'm gonna use this light matte shade here. This one's called Tea Room. This is one of the velvet mattes. I think every single matte in this palette is actually a velvet. The difference between the two formulas is that this one has a little bit more of a almost like cream to powder formula to it. And I can tell because like the minute I put my finger in it, it feels different. Waste not, want not. I didn't want to get any on my finger that I didn't use. The Seamless Matte, the other matte formulation, Lisa mentioned that there was just a very small amount of pearl in it. Not enough to make it shiny or metallic, but just enough to give it kind of like a skin-like quality so it wouldn't look like a completely flat matte. I'm reaching into the darkest shade in this palette. This is called Vintage Mulberry. I'm going to use this to kind of give myself a little bit of dimension in the outer eye. Boy, these blend so easily. Man, I am so impressed. I also like, the other thing that I really like about this formula, not just this velvet matte, but all of these, is that I feel like I can pick the intensity. If I want a little bit more, I can go back for more. I'm not instantly committed with like a ton of pigment the first time I touch my brush in and lay it down to my eye. Especially for someone like me, I tend to go for a softer looking eye overall. And sometimes if things are too pigmented, I don't know what to do with them. So I like that I feel like I get to choose my own adventure with this eyeshadow. I get to choose my own level of intensity, and I like that a lot. I'm going to use just a hint of the same shade right on the lower lash line. I'm probably going to place it with kind of a more pinpointed brush, and then I'm going to buff it in with something just a little bit bigger and fluffier. This top Rosy shade is a metallic formula and it's called Tomorrow's Party. That's what I'm going to be putting on the lid. I really like how soft these metallics are. I don't feel like it's so metallic that all it does is call attention to the texture on my eyelid. This is a Luminous duochrome shade. This one's called Love in Venice. I'm going to pick this up and place it in that inner third of the lid. This shade right here is called Taffeta Fan. It's the only luster shadow in the entire collection out of all 5 eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to use this as an inner corner highlight, and I might tap it over the center of the eye as well. It's such a pretty metallic. The only shade I haven't used so far is this bottom center shade here called Cherubim. It's another velvet matte, so I'm going to put just a little bit more warmth in my crease with a little bit of that shade. I'm going to throw a little bit of Love in Venice, this kind of rose gold shade, on the bottom lash line as well, just to bring a little sparkle to the bottom. I'm going to take just a minute to throw on my eyeliner, mascara, and lipstick, and I'll be right back. I really like the way this eye look turned out. I think it's really pretty. I also like the way the colors kind of flow into each other, and I have depth in the outer corner, light in the inner corner, but there's no like literal spots where you can spot the transition. It just kind of flows, and I like that. And I usually steer clear of pinks because a lot of pinks that I see in the beauty space, sometimes they're like this, but a lot of times they're like a bright, bold, punchy pink, like a Barbie pink. And I remember I had one Barbie growing up, but my cousin had a ton of them. And when we used to get together and play with dolls, I remember looking at their long blonde hair and their really bold makeup, and it looked like somebody had just stamped a shape of eyeshadow, bright blue or pink or purple, on their lid. And those 80s Barbies, they had some really bold eye makeup. And so my fear has always been that I would end up looking like one of those dolls with like a very clear like shape and bright bold contrast of color, which is why I don't wear a lot of pink eyeshadow, but this is gorgeous. On my eye, it tends to read a little bit more pink. On the back of my hand, they're very, very neutral. Let me show you the shades. This one here is called Tea Room. This is a velvet. This is Tomorrow's Party. This is a metallic. Vintage Mulberry is also a velvet matte. This one right here is Love and Venice. This is a Luminous Duochrome. This is Cherubim, another velvet matte. And Taffeta Fan, the sole luster in the entire Lisa Eldridge Shadow collection. The only place you'll find it is in this palette. This is the pinkest of all the shades here. This reaches a little bit more peach. And what's interesting, this mulberry shade here, although it does look like a nice deep brown, it has a little bit of rosiness to it. And I think that that underlying rosy tone that you'll find in every single one of these makes them so easy to wear. I'm taking a little bit of a coffee break because I'm kind of thinking some things through. I'm trying to figure out how best to describe these eyeshadows to you. They go on really easily. They're really pretty, but they're not like crazy pigmented. And I don't feel like that's a fault of the formula. I feel like that's purposeful. It definitely feels like something that Lisa would decide to do. And I like that because I feel like I can kind of choose the level of intensity I want for these eyeshadows, and I like that. They blend beautifully over the top of each other. That's great too. I feel like the criticism for these palettes that I've seen is because maybe the person was expecting this to be like other brands. And they're not. I don't feel like any part of this, I mean, if you look at the component, if you look at the way that it's designed, the color stories are very carefully thought out. They're very carefully named. The types of formulations in here, I feel like nothing but time and love went into these, but you have to know that this is the type of eye look you're going to be getting. This really speaks to the type of artistry that I've seen Lisa do over the years. I have been following her career for a long time. And a lot of my favorite images that I loved from magazines, I didn't even know were hers until I went back to look at her work. And I feel like she creates the sort of makeup looks on models, on herself, on celebrities that I really enjoy and appreciate. And I feel like that's what she was doing. She was evoking that subtle, elegant, not too boom in your face, but kind of reserved with these eyeshadow formulas. And I feel like this is not a shadow lacking. It's exactly what it was designed to be. And the hard part is, I feel like in the last decade or so, we've really been talking a lot about pigmentation. We've really been talking a lot about pearls and micas and things like that in palettes that really make them kind of like they're trying to top each other. More pigment, more pearls, more luster, more everything, to the point where we're wanting to like signal ships from space. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like these sorts of eyeshadow palettes are for a slightly more subdued, but still elegant, beautiful look. So don't purchase one of these $68 babies expecting, you know, bling and shine and being able to signal aliens from space. You're not gonna get that. They're gorgeous. If you're looking for more of a metallic shine, her liquid Lurex are definitely the way to go. They have more sparkle, more pop, and if you were to pair one of these with one of the eyeshadow palettes, you'd probably get exactly what you're looking for. But I actually really like how soft this is. It really speaks to the sort of makeup that I like to wear on the daily, where I want just a little bit but not too much, because I don't have a lot of time. Most of my days I don't have time to sit down here and play. I spend less than 10 minutes getting my makeup on. start to finish. And I can't leave the house without eyebrows, and I can't leave the house without lipstick. So my brows take a few minutes. I want an easy eye look, a little bit of mascara and a whisper of color on my lids. And that's what one of these palettes in these more neutral tones is gonna give me. This one here in Muse and the other one in Cinnabar, which is kind of like your warm neutrals, gonna be perfect for every day. I really love this, and I could see this being, out of all of them, maybe the eyeshadow palette I reach for the most, because this, oh my goodness, this is beautiful, and it really didn't take a lot of time. Next time I sit down to use one of these eyeshadow palettes on its own, I'm definitely gonna pull out my synthetic brushes and see if I get a different look altogether. I'll make sure to list all the makeup I'm wearing in the description box down below, but if you're curious, I'm wearing Velvet Rain. It's one of Lisa's new Velvet Matte lipsticks. I would love to know if you have had your eye on any of these palettes, or this one in Muse in particular. If you've tried them, what are your thoughts? I would love to know how these are working for you if you have one already. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.